Good afternoon. My name is Randy Flannery. I'm going to present to you to tell you speech entitled "The Proper Tools Needed to Complete a Proper Tile or Stone Floor Installation." I'm going to be coming to you from an installer's point of view. My background in ceramic tile and mosaic installation and stonework started in 1987. I went to my tile layers union school from 87 to about 91, almost 92, and got my actual tile contractor's license in 2000. Been doing tile and stone installations in Colorado since 2000. And so before I start off, just one quick question. Go ahead, raise your hand. How many folks have wanted to admit that you've always maybe wanted to try something like this, but you didn't have the confidence to tackle a floor upgrade in your home or in your apartment? Well, my job here today is to hopefully alleviate some of that apprehension and give you more confidence in knowing the right tools to use to create a proper tile or stone floor installation. I'm going to cover about 8 to 10 tools, the basic tools you will need to complete this task. First one I want to cover is the tape measure. The tape measure is very important. Without the tape measure, you cannot figure out the square footage for your floor area, which means you will not have the correct tile ordered, and you also need that to mark your cuts to take over to the saw. Second one I want to cover is a square. I prefer the carpenter square, but today I'm going to use a substitute which you can also use, which is either a speed square or a combination square. So this one you can also use to check the squareness of your blade in conjunction to the table on your saw. You want to make sure that the blade or table has not been tweaked. That would actually cause your cuts to be irregular and not square. The third tool I want to cover is the notch trowel. Now this is very important, and just a couple tips on this tool here. The actual size of the notches is determined by the size of the tile. The larger the tile, the larger the notches. The smaller the tile, the smaller the notches. Very, very important tool. The next tool I want to cover is the margin trowel. Now we refer to this almost, most of us do anyway, is our third hand. You really can't do much without a margin trowel. This is used to mix up your grout in your bucket. You're going to mix it up by hand. It's usually the best way to do it. Obviously, if you have larger amounts that need to be mixed up, you can use a slow RPM type drill with a paddle on it, but you will get best results by using a margin trowel because it does not infuse air pockets into your mortar mix. But this is a great tool. It's great for cleaning up your buckets at the end of the day. It's great for scraping off any excess thinset or grout you may have gotten on the floor as well. The next one I want to cover is a wet saw. Now obviously I didn't have the manpower or the resources to bring a wet saw in, but a wet saw uses a wet diamond blade. You have to have water shooting onto the blade to make your cuts, but a good substitute for that, especially for floors, would be a grinder. You could use a grinder as long as you have a dry diamond blade on it. This takes a dry diamond blade, the actual wet saw, hence the title wet saw. You need to have a wet diamond blade with water running through the blade. This one can actually be used just as well to make cuts outside, obviously, and you must have eye protection on because it does throw a few tile shards your way when you use it, but it is a great tool to use for cuts on a tile floor. And the next tool I want to share with you is actually buckets. You've got to have buckets. I prefer 3 to 5 buckets, a couple for water, one for grout, and one for thinset. Very important tool as well. You really can't get the job done right and in a timely fashion without your buckets. One of the last tools I'm going to show you is the hydro sponge. Now the hydro sponge is specifically made for tile work because it can hold a lot of water. You need a lot of water to wipe down your tiles at the end of the day, to actually clean off your tools, and also use a new one of these sponges to grout. Okay, a few other tools I'd like to mention: latex gloves, knee pads, and tile spacers. All 10 of these types of tools you'll need to create a proper tile installation. Now remember, there are a lot of other tools that can be used in this trade. If I had more time, I could have covered many others, probably a total of maybe 10 to 15 more. There's quite an array of tools that make the job go easier and more efficiently. I hope that by me telling you which tools are needed for a basic tile floor installation, you have become more informed on which tools are used and for what purpose. And to recap, we covered tape measure, square, notch trowel, margin trowel, a wet saw or grinder, buckets, hydro sponge, knee pads, latex gloves, and tile spacers. So from an installer's perspective, those are the proper tools needed to create a proper tile floor installation. Thank you.